Most people won't make it past the first 60 seconds of this message. That's fine. This isn't for most people. This is for the rare ones, the 2%. The ones who felt something all their life but couldn't explain it. The ones who know there's a reason for the isolation, the pain, the heaviness in their soul. This message isn't just meant to inspire you. It's meant to remind you of who you are before the world made you forget. If you're still watching, it means your soul is awake enough to feel what others ignore. You've been sensing something shift, haven't you? Like the air around you is changing. Like time doesn't move the same way it used to. You're noticing signs, patterns, numbers, synchronicities, and they're not coincidences. They're codes, activations, proof that you are not asleep. You're in the middle of a rare awakening that most people will never even notice. But let's be clear, awakening isn't glamorous. It's messy, lonely, violent even, because to awaken is to see everything. The truth about the world, the truth about yourself, and the truth about the systems that were built to keep you blind. That pain you carry, it's not weakness. It's a side effect of remembering. Remembering that this life isn't just about jobs, bills, and approval. That you came here with a mission far greater than survival. If you've always felt too different, that wasn't a flaw. It was your signal. That was your frequency vibrating above the noise. You didn't come here to blend in. You came to disrupt, to question everything, to shake the room without even saying a word. People have felt your presence before they knew your name. They've been drawn to you or offended by you without ever understanding why. That's energy. That's vibration. That's spiritual weight, and you carry it. The truth is, not everyone around you is real. Not everyone around you is even awake. Some are what we call placeholders, background noise in a larger script. That doesn't make you better than them. It just means you're more aware. And when you're aware, you start to realize that nothing in your life was random. That betrayal, a lesson. That heartbreak, a redirection. That suffering, a sacred assignment. The ones who left you, they were meant to. The confusion, the silence, the loneliness, it was all part of your training. Because chosen ones don't get comfort. They get crushed until all that remains is truth. Real truth. The kind of truth that can't be faked or sold. You've probably asked, why me? Why is my life harder than everyone else's? But the real question is, why not you? You were built for this. You were born with ancient codes inside you. Codes that had to be unlocked through experience, through fire. And now you're finally beginning to see. That's why certain people can't stay around you anymore. Your energy exposes their shadows. Your frequency pulls their masks off. You don't even have to speak. Your presence convicts them, not because you're judging them, but because you live in a way that confronts everything they've avoided. And that's not rejection. That's spiritual separation. You're not losing people. You're being aligned with those who carry the light like you do. And that process hurts because it means letting go of everything familiar, everything comfortable, everything that kept you small. But trust this, everything falling away is making room for what's real. You're part of the 2% because you've chosen truth over comfort, depth over popularity, purpose over pleasure. You've walked away from things people spend their whole lives chasing because your spirit refused to settle. That's rare. That's divine. That's proof of who you are. But there's something else. There's a reason you're receiving this message now, because the world is shifting fast. Light is rising. Darkness is reacting. Timelines are collapsing. Illusions are breaking. And those who are awake are being activated. You're not just here to survive the shift. You're here to lead it. But to do that, you must remember your power. You were never broken. You were never behind. You were hidden on purpose. You were protected, isolated, held in divine hands until the exact moment you were strong enough to carry your calling. And now, that moment is here. This isn't a phase. This isn't New Age hype. This is ancient. What you're experiencing is part of a cosmic awakening that's been written in the stars long before this body ever had a name. You are a vessel for something sacred, a bridge between the spiritual and physical, a carrier of codes, wisdom, light. You didn't stumble across this. Your soul brought you here. And now that you've found it, you can't go back. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't go back to sleep. You can't pretend to fit in places your soul has outgrown. You can't keep silencing the voice inside that's screaming to rise. Because once you awaken, you carry responsibility. Not to be perfect, but to be real. Not to fix others, but to be a mirror. Not to force change, but to embody it. And that's what the other 98% won't understand. They'll mock your path. They'll question your choices. They'll call you crazy, intense, too spiritual, too sensitive, too much. Let them. Because the chosen don't answer to the asleep. They move in sync with something higher. If this message is resonating in your bones right now, if your body feels chills, your soul feels seen, your eyes feel teary, it's because this is your confirmation. You are the 2%. You are not alone. And everything that's been breaking down in your life is about to make sense. Now that you've awakened, what do you do with it? The first thing to understand is this: awakening is not the end. It's the beginning of an entirely new life, a new way of seeing, of breathing, of moving. You can't go back to the version of yourself that needed permission, approval, applause. That self was built by programming. The awakened you was built by truth. And truth doesn't ask to be liked. It doesn't wait for validation. It doesn't play nice with the illusion. The moment you stepped into this awareness, you became a spiritual threat to everything built on lies. That's why the warfare intensified. That's why certain people suddenly turned cold. That's why the moment you started aligning, the world around you started reacting. But don't fear it. Expect it. You're not cursed. You're called. And when you're called, life doesn't let you stay comfortable. Your soul signed a contract long before this lifetime, to rise when the world fell asleep. And now that the illusions are crumbling, your role is being revealed. But here's the paradox. The more awakened you become, the more isolated you may feel. Because awakening is lonely at first. You're surrounded by people who talk, but don't listen, who post light, but live in shadow, who think you've changed, but really, you've just returned. Returned to yourself, your essence, your frequency. And that return threatens everything around you that's still rooted in performance. So what do? You protect your energy. Not everyone deserves access to your soul. Not everyone is meant to walk with you in this new chapter. Some people were assigned to the version of you that didn't know any better. And now that you've grown, they'll feel uncomfortable, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your growth reveals their stagnation. Let them go. You're not abandoning them. You're honoring yourself. Because the 2% move differently. They feel the world deeper. They walk slower. They choose solitude over noise, alignment over chaos, spirit over status. The 2% know how to listen to silence, how to walk away without bitterness, how to wait for divine timing instead of forcing outcomes. They're not interested in fitting into broken systems. They're interested in building new ones. So if you're feeling alone right now, don't panic. It means you're being repositioned. Isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. You're being pulled out of the noise so you can hear the next instruction clearly. You're being cleared of distractions so your spirit can recalibrate. You're being stripped of fake support so real alignment can enter. Because what's coming requires your full power. You're not just waking up for yourself. You're waking up for generations, for ancestors, for future timelines. When you heal, you're not just healing your past, you're healing your bloodline. You're breaking spiritual contracts, shattering karmic patterns, removing curses so your lineage can finally breathe. That's why it's so intense. That's why the warfare has been so loud. Because you're not just carrying your own burden. You're carrying the weight of thousands, but you're not carrying it alone. The universe, God, Source, Spirit, has been with you the whole time. Even when you felt forgotten. Even when you were on your knees crying. Even when it felt like nothing made sense. You weren't being punished. You were being refined. The fire didn't come to destroy you. It came to burn off everything that wasn't real. Your ego, gone. Your false attachments, gone. Your illusions, burned. And what's left? Your essence, your light, your divine code, your assignment. You see, most people live their entire lives reacting, sleeping, obeying, numbing, but not you. You're here to remember, to wake others up just by being who you truly are. You don't need a platform to be powerful. You don't need a crowd to be effective. Your frequency is your calling card. When you walk into a room, you shift it. When you speak, people listen, even if they pretend not to. When you pray, things move. When you choose peace, it vibrates across dimensions. That's the power of the 2%. But you must own it. No more shrinking. No more explaining yourself. No more waiting for approval to shine.